Cheng Bai travels through a different world to awaken his talent for gluttonous bodies, inherits from the ferocious gods, practices the strongest divine skills, searches for ancient artifacts, and embraces the Empress as a Taoist priest. Looking into the starry sky. The stars in the sky, from far to near, are disappearing one by one. What are the reasons and forces behind it? Is there a giant beast in the starry sky larger than the sun, devouring stars one by one? The previously seen impoverished continent was just a drop in the ocean, with the wonderful Mount Daxumi, the purple emperor star where the heroes competed, the solitary fairyland, and the magnificent and mystical world. Who competes in the six paths? I am the only hero. The sun of destiny hangs at the tip of the sword, which must face challenges, face immortals and compete for supremacy, and fight against the strongest enemy. Chapter 1. The Spiritual Youth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The universe is mysterious, vast, and great, full of wonderful things. The sea of stars is filled with the energy of withering, indifference, and merciless destruction. The void spirit boat, covered in cracks and corrosion marks, rushed out of the nebula. The only surviving old man on the boat had a firm gaze, but his body swayed uncontrollably. The dry corpses that fell behind him were scattered throughout the cabin. There used to be enemies and friends, and the road ahead was eerie and unpredictable. There was no material around him, no matter how big or small, and no thickness of geometric light and shadow drifted around. He looked up and couldn't see the orbits of the surrounding stars, clearly trapped in confined space and detached from the real world. His face turned pale and he sighed. Finally, they caught up. Geometric forms of light and shadow poured in one after another, each reflecting the old man's appearance. It was an old and haggard face, and each face was asking him, the emperor of the cloud realm is not on the spiritual boat, where has he been hidden? The old man sneered, Lon, you're late. Turn around and look for him slowly. It's been a whole 15 years, and when you find him, he will definitely come back stronger than before, and the day after day will be powerless. Undoubtedly, he is the chief elder of the Kinmen star domain. He is such a golden cicada who has shed his shell and spent 15 years in this constellation. The countless faces reflected in the light and shadow were grim in appearance. Suddenly, all geometric shapes gathered in the distance without any wind, quickly forming a towering humanoid plane shape. The magnificent giant stepped out of the plane and transformed into a three-dimensional form, reaching over 10,000 meters high. Its whole body was crystal clear, pure and flawless, with a sleek outline. Its body contained surging colorful energy, as if a humanoid sun had descended upon the world. The spiritual boat in front of him was as small as a toy, insignificant in Lan's eyes. He said, "You missed the point. 15 years ago, the location where the spiritual boat passed by was most likely the Shanhui city on the top of Mount Daxumi, or the nearby impoverished continent." The old man's eyes twitched slightly and he said in a loud voice, "Lan Shinjun, let's all die together." Lan sneered, "Just you." The old man's mouth showed a hint of grimace as he said, "This is the best void spirit boat in the G-Men star domain. The divine weapon of annihilation is enough to slay the gods. Give me a full attack." The spirit boat concentrated all its energy, making a gurgling sound throughout its body, with some scattered and disintegrating. A sharp hexagonal huge muzzle protruded ahead, and colorful thunder shone brilliantly at the top. Its terrifying power was astonishing, and its target was a magnificent giant. The thunder god's spear, the spirit boat, surprisingly blended into this deadly weapon. Lan was deeply surprised. The god of destruction thunder has been launched, capable of piercing through the entire continent and destroying celestial bodies. The light is so thick that it is no less than that of a spirit boat hull, roaring wildly towards Lan, but it seems like a shy little girl walking slowly and arriving late. The old man exclaimed in shock, "Space has been distorted, and the speed of light is of no use to him." Butcher god. It also depends on what kind of god it is. Lan lazily extended her giant palm to block the god of destruction thunder, causing the destructive power to scatter and overflow, only causing her palm to tremble slightly, and a few faint green smoke emitted from the hit area. This clue is broken. Shanhui City will soon be under the control of the Sun Strikers, and all emperors will be unable to escape sniping. Lan's bullet pointed, and the spirit boat turned into a spark, killing all living creatures. Despite possessing the Thunder God's spear, it was still vulnerable to a single blow. On the remote and impoverished continent, exquisitely stacked palaces are scattered among lush trees, with towering buildings and towering pavilions, majestic and ancient yet spectacular. The most magnificent open-air hall is beautiful and elegant, solemn and dignified. The central altar projects a thick beam of light that connects to the sky, attracting loyal believers from all over the world, forming a wave-like crowd of worshippers around the altar. The white-robed person led by him twisted his neck and danced around, doing his best to urge the altar. A continuous stream of essence poured into it, and sweat trickled down behind him, converging into a small stream. Strands of blood continuously overflowed from his 7 orifices, dyeing the white robe into a bloody garment. A large number of believers were exhausted, gradually unable to hold on, and the crowded crowd collapsed on the ground one after another, losing their breath and becoming stiff corpses. The crowd kept dying, and the leader in the white robe turned a blind eye, persistently continuing to cast spells. Finally, the pillar of light on the altar gradually shrank, and a figure appeared inside. The man in the white robe was overjoyed, but there was no sound around him. The other believers had already died, leaving him alone to stumble and rush to the altar. He lay on the altar with his hands and shouted at the figure with his last strength, then stood there motionless and lifeless. The pillar of light from the sky disappeared, and the figure appeared, becoming the only surviving living person in the palace. His name is Cheng Bai, and just now he clearly heard the man in the white robe shouting, "Great God, come and save us." This makes no sense. Cheng Bai looked around in shock, not as he was on his way to the college entrance examination room, but in a completely different and unknown world environment. Surrounded by only dead people overlapping and circling one after another. Cheng Bai looked up at the sky and the ground, everything was so unfamiliar and out of place. He immediately turned around and said, "Time traveled." No, it was kidnapped by someone, kidnapped by some god. After understanding the situation, he jumped up and said, "My college entrance exam, my girlfriend, and my bright future are all gone." Cheng Bai took a big step down from the altar, passed through the dead crowd, ran up the steps, and ran outside. He himself admires his resilience, whether it's because he has watched too many horror movies in his daily life or his innate talent. The piles of dead people around him hardly put any psychological burden on him. The top priority is to determine where this is and how to leave. We can't sleep with the dead tonight, right? The palace complex is luxurious and towering, with wide and heavy doors. The door hinges sing softly, and Cheng Bai pushes open the sturdy door with all his strength to walk out of the palace. Outside the door is a vast plateau and scattered jungle. Under the azure sky, unknown flowers, plants, and trees compete for beauty, emitting fragrance. The river flows like a jade belt at the foot of the mountain, with beautiful scenery and colorful scenery. Before he could fully appreciate it, Cheng Bai hurriedly retreated back to the palace, hastily closing the heavy gate with a dull sound and propping it against his back. There is not only scenery outside. Cheng Bai's eyes were sharp and his reaction was fast enough. He saw the huge blue-faced spider like a grinding wheel, slowly moving the tree spirit with hands and feet, and the creatures with multiple heads swimming in the farther river. There are monsters here, and monster nests are everywhere. What kind of world have I entered? A drop of sweat dripped down Cheng Bai's forehead, and he walked around the palace twice, recognizing his current situation and understanding what he needed and what he should do. Weapons, equipment, techniques, skills, and food are all necessary to survive in a foreign continent. With such a large palace, there used to be many people, and they could definitely find it. With so many people paying homage and a magnificent architectural scale, the mysterious palace here may be a secluded sect, containing treasures, equipment, martial art secrets, and secret spells. As long as you search for it, practice diligently, and save your wealth and life, you will head towards invincibility in the world, open up the harem, and enjoy the happiness of everyone. Cheng Bai went from guessing to full of expectations, and the more he wanted to become more beautiful, the more he became overjoyed. He rummaged through the palace, searching inside and outside. Unfortunately, although I found some books, I couldn't understand the text on them. Weapons and equipment are even less decent, with some reserves of knives, forks, spoons, food, and drinks. Cheng Bai quickly calmed down and recognized reality. Although the palace is large, the people here are as impoverished as monks, without the rare treasures and inheritance of martial arts as expected, only occasionally seeing fallen corpses in different clothing colors. After exploring back and forth, Cheng Bai overturned his previous simple judgment and gained a new perspective. The large number of people who died in front of the altar were not the original owners of this place, they were also intruders. The monks who scattered and died scattered throughout the palace were the original owners of this place. They were quickly killed, and then intruders gathered in front of the altar to worship and cast spells. What did they do to kill themselves all? What is the purpose? Is it just to kidnap oneself from Earth? Cheng Bai couldn't understand. After much thought, there was one question that left him most incredulous. The language here is not clear, why can you understand what the leader in the white robe is shouting? With many questions in mind, Cheng Bai returned to the altar and squatted in front of the corpse to carefully examine. It can be seen that the person in the white robe has an extraordinary status, but unfortunately he doesn't have any weapons or treasures on his body, etc. He has a unique ring in his hand. Cheng Bai carefully took off the ring, causing the dead person's fingers to stiffen, and it took a lot of effort to remove it. The dark purple ring is stained and bloodshot, made of warm and crystal clear material, with some runes on it, maybe it's a magic weapon. Cheng Bai rubbed it with his fingers and wiped it with the corners of his clothes, hoping to clean it up and see what happened. Maybe he could come up with a ring elf. Turning around, my hand accidentally slipped and the ring jingled as it fell onto the altar. It rolled towards the center and was about to follow up to retrieve it, only to see a faint light rising from the altar and the ring disappeared without a trace. Cheng Bai widened his eyes and blinked hard twice, making sure he was not mistaken. On the spacious altar, which was clearly visible, tangible things disappeared without a trace. But the faint light did not disappear, but instead split into 3 faint clusters of light, slowly drifting towards Cheng Bai and transforming into 3 runes. At that moment, Cheng Bai understood the content of the rune. No, it was the rune that told Cheng Bai about the relevant content. There were 3 secret techniques with different functions. One is the tongue of fire, which can convert alcohol into flames and cause fire damage. The second is robbing the blade, which improves skills and attack power when using sharp-edged equipment. The third is assassination. When transformed into stealth, the attacking target is prone to ignoring defense and damaging weaknesses. Cheng Bai's eyes lit up, and the mysterious altar indeed harbored hidden secrets. There was a reason why so many people went crazy and worshipped desperately. Unfortunately, the secret technique can only be chosen from 3 options. Cheng Bai pondered for a moment and slowly grabbed the light ball of the assassination. The rune immediately integrated into his body, and he mastered this secret technique in an instant, while the other 2 runes dissipated. On the mysterious altar, treasures can be exchanged for secret techniques. Cheng Bai became excited after understanding the mystery, but didn't think much about what the ring was. Not choosing the other 2 secret techniques has been carefully considered. Currently, the best food in the palace is rice wine, and of course, food should not be wasted as ammunition. After searching for a long time, I did not find any sharp-edged weapons to weigh my hand. Therefore, the most suitable secret technique for the current situation is undoubtedly assassination. After trying the effect, it is indeed possible to act invisibly according to one's wishes. With reliance, Cheng Bai's courage has increased significantly. The best weapon that can be found in the palace is a wolf-tooth stick. It is unknown whether it was left by the original owner practicing or the invading warrior. Cheng Bai held a wolf-toothed stick and pushed open the door with all his might, revealing a lewd smile. Who is the loser, the king? Chapter 2. Corpse Transformation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Apart from his skills and courage, Cheng Bai is still very cautious. Those monsters don't seem easy to deal with. The inexperienced virgin felt suffocated, and Cheng Bai chose the smallest blue spider that was left alone. She slowly leaned forward in stealth and fought with all her might. The imagined thug fell to the ground without appearing. Blue Spider was only the size of a basketball, but his body was as strong as iron and his reaction was agile. Instead, he shook off the white wolf-toothed stick and quickly turned his head towards the attack, revealing his whiteness. The future stuffy stick king saw the situation was not good, rolled on the spot and disappeared, avoiding the pursuit of the blue spider. He also followed his wolf-tooth stick and fled to the palace away from the difficult opponent. Later, Cheng Bai found out that among the several spiders outside the palace, the blue-faced spider was the least troublesome. It was fast and sturdy. If it weren't for choosing the secret assassination technique, he might have received a boxed lunch that day. Analyze the reasons for the failure: the hands are not stable enough, the force is not strong enough, and the reaction is not fast enough. In order to improve attack efficiency, Cheng Bai began daily training of his stick technique. There is a spacious and clean room in the palace, with 3 mural images carved as a reference standard. The monks in the mural hold swords with swift and sharp movements. The first move is to align the sword with the arm, and use all your strength to chop from top to bottom, with one sword in 2 sections. The second move is to slice horizontally from left to right or from right to left, chasing back and forth like the wind, and wiping the neck with a sword. The third move is to fiercely stab the target with the tip of the sword, forming a straight line, like chasing stars and the moon, with one sword piercing through the heart. In the palace, only the mural room can find a broken sword in 3 sections, and there is also a large crystal-clear jade embedded at the junction of the sword frame and body, which is unfortunately difficult to use. Cheng Bai believed that there was nothing wrong with using the wolf-tooth stick instead. Although there was a big difference between swordsmanship and stick techniques, there were some differences in how to practice them. However, the eldest son was able to bend and stretch, and was content with the situation. He didn't know the original name of the swordsmanship, so he also named the new move he had tampered with. The first move is called Stuffy Pig Head, the second move is called Throwing the Black Pot, and the third move is called Defecating Spirit, which is simple and easy to remember. After half a day of special training, Cheng Bai realized that he had a good hand feel, so he chose the blue-faced spider for the second time. For nothing else, the clear soup and meatless noodles I had for lunch today suddenly sparked a whimper when I saw the chubby and thick legs of a fat spider. He cautiously approached the single target, stabilized his emotions, and used his sucking strength to exert his stuffy pig head, making a heavy thud sound. The blue-faced spider's forehead suddenly opened and fell to the ground in response. Cheng Bai was overjoyed. It seems that spiders may not necessarily become stronger as they grow bigger. The blue-faced spiders are noticeably weaker than the smaller ones. He noticed that after each assassination attack, he would appear, and it would take a short time to enter invisibility again. This was not a good phenomenon, which meant that his whereabouts would be exposed in an instant, putting him in a dangerous situation. There is no way to improve now, we can only solve the appetite first. I have heard of some people eating spiders on Earth, but Cheng Bai never tried. It is estimated that those people only consider spiders as crayfish. Drag back the prey, burn off the spider hair with the flame of an oil lamp, cut off 8 legs with a broken sword, wash and peel them clean, find a spatula and fork for deep frying, cut open the outer shell and fry the tender inside, pour rice wine on it, and the result is surprising. The chicken flavor is crispy and crispy. When he took his first bite, Cheng Bai felt as if his body had been liberated from shackles, his appetite increased significantly, and his thirst for food could no longer stop. These meat dishes are different from ordinary game. After eating them, they are full of energy, and with excellent exercise effects, Cheng Bai unknowingly became a hunter. As night fell, he hid in the mural room, which was simple and clean with no corpses. Getting up early was convenient for practicing the 3 sticks, and he lay down comfortably, gradually falling asleep to rest. In the middle of the night, Cheng Bai was suddenly awakened by the cold chill. He stood up to listen, and a gust of wind brought confusion and terror to the dark realm. Outside the room, there were faint sounds of dancing, singing, footsteps, collisions, and many other noisy sounds that made people feel uneasy. He secretly exclaimed that he was the only one left in the palace, so he tiptoed out of the mural room and sneaked out to investigate where the noise was coming from. The strange thing in front of him made his hair stand on end. Around the grand altar, loyal believers who had all died during the day were thrown to the ground one after another, and a dense crowd surrounded the altar like waves, bowing and worshipping. The leading white-robed man ran back and forth around the altar, dancing and screaming, continuing the unfinished spell. The dirty white-robed man was muddy and stained with mud, water, and blood. He suddenly turned his head towards Cheng Bai, tilted his neck, disheveled, with deep red blood flowing through his blackened 7 orifices, sharp teeth, and a terrifying face, resembling a demon. Facing such a strange thing, Cheng Bai almost exclaimed in shock, suppressed his fear, covered his mouth to stop him from shouting, slowly retreated back to the mural room, closed the door, and once again felt grateful for choosing the assassination secret technique that could make him invisible. In the second half of the night, Cheng Bai was completely alert and didn't sleep well. As the sky gradually brightened, the noise outside the room gradually subsided, and the wind and waves remained calm. As the sun rose in the east, Cheng Bai became bold and walked out of the mural room again to examine. A large number of believers were still lying motionless on the ground, and the bodies of the white-robed leader were still lying by the altar, as if last night's resurrection was just a dream. Cheng Bai is very certain that it is not a dream. At the current temperature, under normal circumstances, with so many corpses dying for a day, it would have rotted and emitted a body odor, but it didn't happen, as if unexpected changes were happening. How the body has nothing to do with becoming white, he still has to survive, continue to train his stuffy skills, and go out hunting spiders sooner or later. Practical combat is the best teacher for honing skills. The prototype of the 3 stuffy sticks is swordsmanship, which may become stiff when changed to stick technique. However, through continuous improvement in practice, practice makes perfect, and its power gradually increases. Invisible assassination has an absolute advantage. Practice and try as you become white, and by the time you reach the 3rd spider, you are already able to flexibly use the 3 moves and adapt to the situation. The blue-faced spider has no fighting power under the sneak attack of the stuffy stick. Hunting effectively solved the food supply problem. On the 2nd day when Cheng Bai came to the foreign land, he racked his brains to recall all the cooking skills he had seen on the earth, learned to pick out the best essence ingredients, satisfied his appetite, and made great progress in cooking. He admired his self-taught cooking. At night, after eating and drinking enough, Cheng Bai tightly closed the doors and windows of the mural room, holding a wolf's tooth stick to nourish his energy and indulge in a dream. As long as the spirits do not disturb him and the well water does not invade the river, the situation will not get worse. In the middle of the night, the white-robed man still led many believers to worship and make noise. Cheng Bai doesn't listen or ask, "You play with you, I sleep with me." If there is nothing to do overnight, habits will be good. Cheng Bai went to inspect the dead bodies around the altar again and confirmed that there were no signs of decay. After multiple attempts, he concluded, they are turning into mummies. It is unclear whether it was caused by the environment inside the palace or by the mysterious altar. On the third day of arriving at the exotic continent, Cheng Bai had the idea of facing the enemy head-on during hunting, strongly teasing his heartstrings. How strong is the blue-faced spider? He stood in front of the selected fourth blue-faced spider and did not appear invisible. When the blue-faced spider pounces, it moves quickly and attacks accurately. Cheng Bai understood that in most cases, spiders are hunters and must not be bitten by venomous teeth. He acted quickly, practicing multiple times to sweep the black pot and hit the blue-faced spider hard on the forehead, making his opponent unable to find the north. The blue-faced spider regained its senses and suddenly spat out a web, covering Cheng Bai's face. Cheng Bai killed 3 spiders and knew their skills like the back of his hand. These spiders used several pairs of spinning tools on their front and back abdomen to spray high strength sticky spider silk, and were already on guard. Hurry to avoid them. Flashing through the spider silk, one move was effective, and the wolf-toothed stick rushed forward and hit the spinning tool of the blue-faced spider's erect chest fiercely, sinking on the spot. The blue-faced spider was knocked over and turned to run away. Cheng Bai once again became invisible, bypassing the spider's escape route and running towards its front. After observing for several days, he knew that this spider was also very cunning. The spinning machine in the back abdomen would discharge sticky spider silk along the way, and following it would fall for it. Soon, the spider's feet would be covered with spider webs, making it difficult to move. At this point, the spider would return to kill and fall into a disadvantageous situation. Invisibly blocking the blue-faced spider in front of it, another dull pig's head was hit, and it was directly open to reap the victory and become a dish on the plate. This battle test has made Cheng Bai even more aware of it. Invisible attacks greatly enhanced their killing power, far exceeding direct confrontation with the enemy. The first 2 moves are not as powerful as the invisibility move, making assassination truly worthy of its name. The meat of blue-faced spiders is rich in nutrients, and consuming them greatly increases their strength. Combined with diligent exercise, Cheng Bai's breathing is soft and regular, and his physical fitness has exceeded the previous limit. He feels that his strength is growing at a perceptible and rapid speed, and he unconsciously enters a new stage. A few days passed in a blink of an eye, and I continued to practice with my stick. I kept hunting 2 green-faced spiders with meat and vegetable dishes every day, becoming more and more proficient in whitening, even without the need for invisibility. I used up to 2 sticks to kill the green-faced spider's head-on, gradually turning my gaze to prey farther away. Chapter 3. Wandering Soul Transmission of Merit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tonight's goal is set on the blue-faced spider who missed last time. Cheng Bai has repeatedly observed that this spider does not spin silk, but its attack and defense are better, especially at a faster speed. Seizing the opportunity, he stealthily touched it and struck it with a fierce thud, with a bang that was much more powerful than the virgin thud. The blue-faced spider was hit hard and disoriented, unable to retaliate. Cheng Bai quickly entered the invisible state again and made a fierce attack before knocking down the blue-faced spider and successfully hunting. Dinner was exhilarating. The blue-faced spider had a small head and less meat, but it was even more delicious than the green-faced spider. After eating it, it had a better exercise effect. There was a small blue chip hidden in its belly, which looked beautiful, so it was left behind. Cheng Bai drank 2 more glasses and leisurely checked his shoulder, upper arm, and chest muscles. He thought to himself that he was growing stronger and more tender than before. He secretly felt happy and said, with more effort, maybe he will become a strong and beautiful Bai in the future, attracting countless spicy girls to compete and bend. At night, Cheng Bai slept soundly with a wolf-tooth stick in his arms. Practicing martial arts in such a comfortable and lewd way, the prospect of hiding big shots in the future is very worth looking forward to. In the dim darkness of the night, I heard someone knocking on the door, and the hurried sound spread far away in the darkness, clear and rhythmic. Cheng Bai immediately woke up and listened attentively. It was clear that someone was coming outside the room. There was no response when knocking on the door, and the person outside seemed impatient, with the sound of the key turning to open the door. Cheng Bai quickly hid in hiding, stabilizing his tense mood. The door of the mural room was slowly pushed open, and a dense and gloomy wind blew in. Cheng Bai widened his eyes, and there was clearly no one outside the door. He approached the door cautiously, probed his head and made sure that there was no one at the door, and the chaos of the distant altar was out of reach. He then withdrew his head and was about to close the door when he glanced back and saw 3 more people in the room that was originally empty. Cheng Bai was shocked and pale. He knew nothing about how these 3 people came in, but fortunately he remained invisible and others couldn't see him. The 3 of them looked like monks, one tall and thin, one short and chubby, and one strong, facing each other for conversation. The tall and thin monk said, "The Yaoguang temple has declined." The chubby monk said, "I have no fighting power against the disaster army." The robust monk said, "Our ancestors have lost their foundation for thousands of years in our hands." The tall and thin monk said, "If we were prepared, we shouldn't have died here. Unfortunately, there is no successor to our swordsmanship." The chubby monk said, "There is a young man learning the deadly 3-kill sword." The robust monk said, "But he did not practice well according to the picture. If a living person sees it, they will be angry to death." The tall and thin monk said, "We can teach him." The chubby monk said, "Only for a few hours tonight, and then my soul will be scattered." The robust monk said, "How much you can understand depends on the nature." After speaking, he held the half-cut sword with a hilt and retreated to a spacious area. His sword energy extended and he made up for the incomplete blade shape. He said loudly, "The first move is to stand the sword. With one swift sword strike, it is capable of splitting mountains. The second move is to wipe the sword. A sword slashes horizontally, as fast as lightning, only seeking to be killed. The third move is to stab the sword. A sword piercing straight, with substance but no substance, running and escaping without dust." Cheng Bai looked closely beside him, his vision broadened, and he was deeply inspired. In an instant, he opened a brand new door. With the guidance of a master, he and himself wandered around aimlessly, completely different worlds. The tall and thin monk said, "The deadly 3-kill sword technique is the most effective killing move that has been refined among thousands of sword techniques and martial arts, with infinite power." The short and chubby monk said, "The 3 moves are progressing in a series, like a broken bamboo, emphasizing the importance of constantly discarding waste and preserving the essence. They are concise and practical, only fast but not broken, and the moves are deadly." The robust monk reintroduced the deadly 3-kill sword in a different style, exuding a murderous aura. He explained in detail, "The deadly 3-kill sword requires depth, but not enough skill. It requires more killing." The tall and thin monk said, "The 3 of us have been living in the temple for a long time, and we have long forgotten the pleasure of killing. The deadly 3-kill sword only has its form and spirit, and ultimately it has fallen behind and failed." The chubby monk said, "Only by surpassing oneself can we make progress. Remember." The robust monk once again unleashed the deadly 3-kill sword, with a continuous flow of 3 moves, like a single move. He added, "In the end, the 3 moves merged into one, and the deadly 3 kills turned into one sword, stepping out of his own path and reaching higher levels. Becoming white is like being struck by lightning, and the mind suddenly opens up. One after another, creative ideas come to mind. Simple 3 moves can bring about countless changes, but they can also be attributed to the same sword intent, vast and profound." The monk repeatedly pointed to the air, regardless of whether Cheng Bai saw it or not, without realizing that the sun was rising. The last sentence of the robust monk said, "Go to the Kaiyang temple to find the temple master and tell her the news of our death." The broken sword landed with a clang, and the 3 monks disappeared without a trace. The light gradually filtered through the window and shone on the mural. Cheng Bai regained his senses and emerged from his invisibility. He looked at the three sword-wielding monks on the mural, one tall and thin, one short and chubby, and one robust, lifelike. He immediately understood why he could understand the three of them speaking, and it turned out to be a spiritual exchange. "Thank you for your guidance, Senior." Cheng Bai knelt down to pay tribute to the mural. Without delay, he picked up his wolf-tooth stick and practiced again. The three stuffy sticks added a fierce killing intent and increased their power, but they became further and further away from swordsmanship. Cheng Bai doesn't care about deviating from swordsmanship. The monk once said that one can use this to walk out of their own path, and it is better to obtain their form than to obtain their spirit. A few days have passed, and the meat of the blue-faced spider has a better effect on enhancing its strength. Cheng Bai hunts 3 spiders every day and matches them with food as his daily homework. He is becoming stronger and stronger, but he is becoming more and more fearful. At night, the movement of the undead grew louder and louder, even dreaming of blood gushing out from the altar, flooding the palace. Cheng Bai woke up in shock and gradually realized that those undead spirits were not just fulfilling their dying wishes. They continued to worship and cast spells, as if they really wanted to summon something that shouldn't exist in the world. Late that night, Cheng Bai woke up again with a terrifying aura emanating from the distant altar, as if there were strange things in the depths of endless space, as dark and profound as an abyss, making him restless and unable to maintain his composure. The palace is not suitable for staying any longer. Now that the blue-faced spider is powerless to fight back under the invisibility of the stick, it's time to challenge it head-on. In the morning, Cheng Bai stood in front of a blue-faced spider, forcing it to slowly retreat. Hunting and killing spiders increases, gradually emitting a deterrent and murderous aura, faintly oppressing the opponent. But the blue-faced spider was not afraid. As Cheng Bai approached, it pounced, and any beast knew that it was better to attack first. Cheng Bai waved his wolf-tooth stick and hit the blue-faced spider accurately with a heavy blow from his stuffy pig head. Then, he swung his black pot and made it spin like a ball, using his moves skillfully. Even so, the blue-faced spider has not yet died, especially as it spreads its teeth and claws, with 8 legs moving and ready to pounce. Cheng Bai unleashed his defecation spirit and stabbed it, hitting the center abdomen. The spider's swollen abdomen was the most fragile, and it immediately burst, causing the slurry to splash. The 3 moves 1. Cook and enjoy the blue-faced spider, take out the chips from the body and put them away. So far, I have accumulated more than 10, which are crystal clear and smooth. Cheng Bai guessed that it was some kind of treasure, carrying a chip wrapped in cloth strips, and excitedly came to the altar, putting them all up, intending to exchange for a big prize. Unfortunately, after waiting for a while, no miracle occurred. Perhaps the level of the treasure is not enough. Cheng Bai took back the chip and practiced in the mural room for a moment. Suddenly, his heart twitched and he picked up the broken sword in 3 pieces, then returned to the altar and placed it on top. Unexpectedly, the altar once again shone with light, leaving no trace of the remaining sword. The rune appeared again, and Cheng Bai was overjoyed. He didn't expect the residual sword to be a treasure, but unfortunately, he couldn't tell the good news. Looking back, he was particularly skilled at cutting spider legs. This time, the light was brighter than before, splitting into different light clusters and slowly floating in front of Cheng Bai, revealing 3 profound secrets and more mysterious runes. If Cheng Bai feels that the level of the secret technique is higher, carefully consider the corresponding effects. Blood Kiss uses blood to penetrate the target, causing life damage. After attacking, it can return some health to heal and restore oneself. You don't necessarily have to use your own, as long as it's the blood of flesh and blood creatures. Eagle Claw, summon eagle owls as claws to investigate the situation and participate in combat if necessary. With summoning beasts, it is quite convenient to serve as free thugs and scouts. Tong Yen is known for the mysteries of language among all races, guiding various creatures to communicate according to their own wishes. Cheng Bai remembered that when he first arrived, the leader in white clothes shouted something that he understood immediately. Is it related to this? There is an urgent need for information about this world, and language barriers are absolutely necessary. Mastering information is essential to grasp the big picture and details, and its importance is self-evident. There are currently 3 stuffy sticks in attack combat, but if you cannot defeat them, you can still escape invisibly. The safety issue is basically solved, and in the future, you can exchange stronger secret techniques with new treasures. Having clarified the requirements, he reached out and grasped the secret technique of Tongyen, and the rune integrated into his body again. The other 2 beams of light quickly dissipated. With the secret technique of Tongyen, I learned from the books I found earlier that the palace where it is located is the Yaoguang Temple, one of the 7 sacred sites in the impoverished continent. Mastering power easily makes one linger and forget to leave. Cheng Bai decided to leave the Yaoguang Temple to explore the vast unknown world, collect precious treasures and constantly exchange for strength, full of expectations for the future. Chapter 4. Wilderness Hunter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Departing in the early morning, the area is located on a plateau, and walking downhill is smooth with the wind and water. Cheng Bai, dressed in light attire and simple, passed through the grassland and entered the forest, asking for directions from the old tree spirits and flying cloud swallows along the way. The Tongyen secret technique effectively solved communication problems and guided animals who knew the direction to help guide them. The Kaiyang Temple is located in the east, leaving the Plateau of Precepts, passing through the Long Snake River, the Y-necked Plain, and passing through the Wild Horse Ridge. When you see the city, the largest building is the Kaiyang Temple. Cheng Bai asked the road clearly, determined the direction, and strode forward with great strides. The wind blew under his feet, and he kept moving forward. Arriving by the Long Snake River, it was getting late. The Yaoguang Temple is located at a high altitude, offering a distant view of this long and continuous river. It spans thousands of miles and splits into 2 rivers when flowing from the plateau to the east. The tributary that runs between the Commandment Plateau and the Warp Neck Plain is the Changxi River, while the main stream that turns to the north at the mouth of the sea is called the Changshu River. There are many species living in the Long Snake River, and the more troublesome ones are the evil water ghost and the green water tiger, but they are all shrimp soldiers and crab generals that are not worth mentioning. The strongest river hegemon is the Hydra. It is said to have 9 heads, but in fact, only the ancient purebred Hydra has 9 heads, and such monsters are rare in daily life. Most of the dominant snake monsters in the river have 3 heads. They are also very strong, with a physique several meters long chasing dinosaurs, far stronger than blue-faced spiders. When you look at their strong and muscular bodies, you know this scumbag is not easy to deal with, and it's best to avoid it. The Changxi River is over 100 meters wide and only a few dozen meters narrow. Some shallow sections of the river are covered with giant rocks, and the water flow is slightly turbulent. Cheng Bai looked at the shore again and again, found a narrow section of the river covered in large pebbles, estimated the distance and landing point, and wanted to jump over. Just as he stood firm on the boulder that had fallen into the river, his feet suddenly started to move. It turned out that an old black turtle with a turtle shell that looked like a black boulder was lying on the stone to rest. Young people nowadays are really not sensible, they often step on the elderly under their feet, complained the old turtle angrily. Upon hearing this, Cheng Bai quickly asked, "So, has anyone passed by here recently? Where have they been?" Old Xian Gui exclaimed in surprise, "Do you understand what I'm saying? There aren't many people who understand turtle language. They're heading east. What kind of person is he?" Cheng Bai broke through the sand pot and asked to the end. "A group of people with crooked necks," said Lao Xiangui with difficulty breathing. Cheng Bai inquired clearly and corrected the direction of the journey. As a reward, he carried 2 spider legs with him and asked the old turtle to transport him across the Long Snake River. Camping by the river at night, grilling newly hunted green water tigers. This wild beast looks like a dog and a tiger, with thick fur, and is good at catching fish and crabs in the water. Its strength is slightly higher than that of the blue-faced spider. The key to packing it up is to wait for the shore and wait for the opportunity to assassinate. You are very familiar with your work. After that, you can select essence meat pieces and cook them, sprinkle them with onions and garlic, and pour rice wine. The meat tastes delicious. In the belly of the green water tiger, there are also small chips like jade, with a green color. Strictly speaking, the ones that condense such chips are not ordinary beasts, they should belong to demon beasts. Ordinary beasts fear the flames, but powerful monsters are often not in this category. As soon as Cheng Bai was full, a huge monster with a neck raised over 4 meters high and a body length of 7 meters slowly approached with thick legs. It was a 3-headed snake attracted by the scent of meat, drooling towards the campsite. Cheng Bai stood up and charged, jumping up. The stuffy pig's head hit one of its 3 heads. The 3-headed snake shook its head and didn't suffer much damage. It looked up and sprayed poisonous mist at Cheng Bai. Cheng Bai quickly closed his breath to avoid it, took more than 10 steps back to the original position, grabbed the remaining water tiger skeleton, organs, and cooked meat, and threw them towards the 3-headed snake. The 3 heads each grabbed the food, swallowed it whole, slowly retreated, and left the campsite, clearly possessing some intelligence. If entangled, neither side may be able to reconcile, it's better to meet each other's needs. At night, Cheng Bai climbed onto a tree over 10 meters high to rest, looking up at the starry sky. The night was filled with twinkling stars, bringing endless imagination to people. Cheng Bai thought about the distant earth, his hometown in the past, and unconsciously fell asleep. The next day, he continued to head towards the Kaiyang Temple. The Crooked Neck Plain stretches for 800 miles, without the need for paving roads. There is a vast plain with fertile land, lush vegetation, and pleasant scenery. It is a good place for reproduction and growth. Occasionally, a whistling plant can be seen growing on the plain. At first glance, it appears to be a low shrub with fruit that looks like hawthorn. When animals approach, the sudden whistle will scare them away. Cheng Bai didn't care about its whistle and picked a lot of fruit from the whistle. He tasted the sour, sweet and delicious taste, and eating it improved his alertness. Occasionally seen running horses on the plain, and even rarer is the gray moonlight deer. They are quite alert and quickly move away when they notice someone approaching. Cheng Bai welcomed the first heavy rain upon arriving at the foreign continent on the plain, nowhere to hide and drenched into a drowned rat. Helplessly, Cheng Bai decided to take a shower in the rain and then take off his clothes and sun them on the side after the rain. That's great, washing clothes also saves time. Fortunately, a gray moonlight deer broke into his sight. This is the strongest demon beast seen in the plain area, taller and more burly than ordinary deer, larger than horses, agile in movement, and particularly swift under the moonlight. Cheng Bai once attempted to approach and assassinate it invisibly, but unfortunately, the gray moonlight deer stretched its ears, sniffled, became alert, and ran away. This time, Cheng Bai, who was naked and barefoot, approached invisibly. The unlucky gray moonlight deer failed to be alert in time and was hit hard by the stuffy pig's head on the forehead. The gray moonlight deer swayed and did not fall to the ground yet. Cheng Bai quickly entered an invisible state again and patched it up before knocking down the big guy. Burn a fire to keep warm, dispel the cold, dry clothes, and today's meal has been resolved. Gray moonlight deer fur is beautiful and beautiful. Cheng Bai used small knives collected in the palace and put in a lot of effort to get the complete fur down and preserve it, hoping to make a deer skin garment. Whistle fruit is very suitable for blending deer meat, with excellent meat quality and flavor, more delicious than spider meat and water tiger meat. The chips taken out are also larger, with a silver-white color and a more moist texture. Cheng Bai had eaten his fill and found a safe and clean place to lie down. He calmly put on dry clothes, looked up at the night sky, stretched his muscles and bones, and lived a carefree and comfortable life as a hunter of a moonlight deer every day. His skin was crystal clear, and his full body energy was freely released, which was significantly different from when he first came to the exotic continent more than a decade ago. His delicious food and diligent practice allowed his strength to rapidly grow to a new stage. On the fourth day of his journey to the east, along the way, Cheng Bai met a group of vicious people riding horses and lined up in front of him. The leader held a 4-foot broad sword and tilted his neck, shouting, "I opened this road and planted this tree. If you want to live from now on, leave it to buy life and wealth." Cheng Bai exclaimed in shock, "You are bandits. Bold, we are the Suburban Affairs Supervisor of the Crooked Neck Plain. If you dare to slander us, you will face legal consequences." A person next to him shouted angrily at the words and raised a strange axe. The head was in the shape of a human head, and the rough sculpted mouth was embedded with an axe blade, making the joint feel small and easy to break. Cheng Bai was quite looking forward to meeting the people here to communicate, but was greatly disappointed and sneered, "If you want to compete openly under the official banner, you also need to have this ability." The leading crooked-necked swordsman gave orders, "Go and take him down, peel him clean." The thug with a human head axe was overjoyed and twisted his neck, shouting, "I obey your orders." He urged his horse to rush forward. Under his crotch, the old horse reluctantly snorted twice and ran leisurely. Cheng Bai swung his wolf-toothed stick, jumped up, and threw a black pot at him. The hatchet driver reluctantly lifted the hatchet to block it, and on the spot, the axe blade fell off, making strange noises and falling off the horse. One foot hung on the stirrup and couldn't break free. Old Buma suddenly became cheerful, hissing loudly, and dragging the hatchet hitter all the way towards him. The man screamed incessantly, leaving a trail of blood behind his ponytail, which made him unable to live. The swordsman with a crooked neck became furious and shouted, "How dare you murder the Suburban Affairs Supervisor for the crime of executing the 9 clans? Kill him for me." More than 10 people were holding strange-looking axes, broad swords resembling soles of shoes, and broad curved swords like dog legs, all rushing towards the crooked-necked swordsman. Cheng Bai sneered and said, "Do you dare to block the way and rob with this skill?" Entering the assassination mode, the power doubled. He waved his wolf-toothed stick and froze one by one, causing the bandit gang to be torn apart and fall to the ground, leaving scattered horses to bow and eat grass. The swordsman with a crooked neck saw something amiss and quickly shouted, "Sir, stop it. With such secret techniques, are you the experts of the Disaster Legion from the high plateau of the precepts ahead? The flood has washed over the Dragon King Temple, and the whole family knows no one." Chapter 5. Hunter Guild. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Cheng Bai quickly eliminated about 10 bandit minions and asked, "What kind of family? Didn't you say you were in charge of suburban affairs?" The swordsman with a crooked neck quickly jumped off his horse and bowed with a smile, saying, "The names of the Suburban Affairs Supervisors are all those who were summoned by the Disaster and Disaster Army and prepared to confess to the army. Naturally, they are a close family. Can't you speak with your neck straight?" Cheng Bai looked at him with his neck always crooked, which was not very pleasing. The swordsman with a crooked neck flattered and said, "I have long admired the Commander-in-Chief of the Legion, the White Jade Banner Leader. Imitating the Banner Leader day and night has become a habit, and a crooked neck is an unparalleled honor." Peering at Bai without showing a satisfied expression, he quickly said, "Not only are they petty people, but also the Crooked-Necked Legion from top to bottom, including the leader, deeply admired and tried their best to imitate. They have been waiting here for a long time and are willing to follow them from now on, and their reputation will be remembered for eternity." The crooked-necked plain and the characteristics of the White Jade Flag leader coincide, indicating the will of heaven. Cheng Bai couldn't understand this idea and patiently asked, "Where is the Crooked Neck Army? Little people are willing to lead the way." The crooked-necked swordsman served diligently, taking Cheng Bai, who had also ridden a horse, and rode for a long time towards the east of the plain, gradually approaching the old castle on the Wild Horse Ridge. That's the crooked stronghold where the crooked-necked army is located. Please follow me. The crooked-necked swordsman urged the horses to quicken their pace. Cheng Bai had played horseback riding on earth before and became familiar with the controls. He restrained his horse and observed the surrounding terrain. He found that the main structure of the village was civil engineering, with many areas in disrepair and weak defenses. The walls were also not high. The swordsman with a crooked neck saw that he didn't keep up and only said, "Please allow me to go and report." Quickly rushing into the city fortress, closing the gate, it took a long time to see the figure of a crooked-necked swordsman on the wall of the fortress, surrounded by a large crowd of people. "Ah, even if you're a little kid, you dare to impersonate the experts of the disaster army. Their identities are obvious at first glance. Thanks to my intelligence and wit, I tricked you back and managed to escape your life." The crooked-necked swordsman boasted and everyone around him cheered. He is really a playwright. Fortunately, he felt something was wrong and didn't follow in. Otherwise, he would have been surrounded by a large number of bandits and dismembered with knives. Cheng Bai looked up at the other person and suddenly said, "Are you the commander of the Twisted Neck Legion?" "I am Cha He, the commander of the Warped Neck Army and the first swordsman of the Warped Neck Plain." Cha He drew his 4-foot-wide sword and waved it, as if he were a defending general. He put on his posture and shouted, "Little ones, shoot him." Many archers are squeezing out from the walls of the fortress to shoot arrows. Cheng Bai quickly jumped off the horse, waved his wolf-tooth stick to separate the arrows, withdrew from the range of the bow and arrow, leaving only the horse as the target of public criticism, and died tragically on the spot. "You let me know where my family is, know the root and bottom, and dare to be arrogant. If one comes out, I'll take care of it." Cheng Bai sneered and walked away, hunting and killing bandits nearby for several days. The Crooked-Necked Legion occasionally falls alone when going out, causing casualties. Upon learning that he was in a rage, Cha He personally led his army to search around the city fortress, but found nothing. When he returned, several people who were left alone were all beaten and ended up with a grudge. Angry that Cha He couldn't eat well or sleep well, he cursed, "Yellow-haired boy, why are you so despicable and shameless?" The subordinate reported, "Captain, that young man started a fire outside, as if provoking." Cha He ran up to the wall of the city fortress and looked far away angrily, saying, "Cha He was once a level 6 hunter in the hall. What are you afraid of him? Equip your troops and gather more people to surround him with me." Cheng Bai lit a bonfire outside the range of his bow and arrow, grilling the newly hunted gray moonlight deer. The cooking was just right, and he waited while eating. He was getting impatient when he saw Cha He leading a large group of minions to kill him. He belched heavily, threw away the remaining deer meat, and hid next to him, watching as the leading bandits rode their horses and stumbled into the dug trap, causing everyone to fall and the unstoppable bandits behind him to fall as well. Cha He exclaimed angrily, "Shameless child, dare you come out and fight?" Cheng Bai ignored him and, after knocking down several robbers with his stick, walked away with his own deer meat and fur. Cha He watched helplessly as his subordinate's brain burst, and he reluctantly withdrew and retreated. The name, "Stupid King," gradually became louder in the Crooked Neck Plain, and the bandits were no longer as reckless as before. Cheng Bai rode a discarded barge horse from a bandit, left the Wild Horse Ridge, headed east to find Kaiyang City, and rushed into the city in the early morning. Kaiyang City is the largest city within a radius of thousands of miles, a transportation hub connecting the east and west of the mainland. The streets are crisscrossing, and the market is bustling with people and traffic. People's clothing is close to ancient times but more particular, indicating that aesthetics and practicality have taken a different path. After going through an adventure, Cheng Bai's outfit has completely changed its appearance, bringing a strong smell of sweat. At first glance, it looks like a refugee fleeing from the wilderness, but also has a unique strength and ferocity. The people in the city looked from a distance and thought it was a hunter who had failed to hunt monsters and fled back to the city. They all avoided it and did not actively provoke them. Cheng Bai relied on his secret language skills for convenience and refused to meet people. He caught a few kind people, inquired carefully, and found the Hunter Guild in the city. The guild hall exudes a picturesque atmosphere and is bustling with people. Hunters are a common profession among the most people in the impoverished continent. Some consider it as experience, while others consider it as making a living. Regardless of their background, there are people of all kinds. Recruiting employers, leisurely hunters gather in the hall to form groups, chat and interpret the unique legend in everyone's mind. The prominent commission bulletin board caught the attention of Cheng Bai, with daily updates on various commission tasks. Hunters can take on matching businesses or team up to challenge an adventure based on their own strength level. Roughly browsing through it, some purchased a few fur pieces of gray moonlight deer, some needed a few pounds of whistle fruit, and some recruited a convoy to accompany them for protection. These bounties were only a few taels of gold at most. The highest reward is to eliminate the bandit Crooked Neck Legion that occupied the town of Yema Ridge, destroy the Crooked Botsi Fortress, bring back the bandit leader's mountain copper decapitation broadsword as evidence, and reward 200 taels of gold. This task is quite demanding, the notice is outdated, it seems to have been put on hold for a long time. Cheng Bai came to the trading counter and put down the various chips he had accumulated over the past few days. These monster crystal fragments have a wide range of uses and can be used as materials for various tools and certain power sources to make various treasures, which are purchased by the Hunter Guild year-round. The teller in charge of the transaction counted and gave the price. 127 taels of gold. Hunters who rest, drink, and talk around all cast envious glances. In Kaiyang City, this is a large sum of money, and a hunter with such good grades must be somewhat famous. But when he lingered on Cheng Bai's body for a few moments and saw that he was disheveled and covered in a sour odor, he averted his gaze. Excellent hunters are well equipped and not so shabby. Perhaps they are just servants sent by famous hunters to handle inventory. I need a small treasure bag. Cheng Bai received the money and began to supply it. Upon arrival, it was discovered that the Bai Bao bag is a commonly used magical tool and is actually a storage device in a different space, also known as a four-dimensional pocket. Although it may seem small, it can hold a large amount of food and is not easily perishable. It can even be used to store live animals, making it a necessary item for adventure. The smallest treasure bag cost 100 taels of gold, making it much more convenient to carry items in the future. Reminder from the teller after the transaction. You haven't joined the Hunter Guild yet, do you need to apply? Cheng Bai asked, is there a discount on the price of joining? The buying and selling prices are the same, but Hunter members can team up to hunt, find teammates, commission trades, initiate missions, and obtain information such as monsters, treasures, and battles, all of which are very convenient. Cheng Bai gained a deeper understanding that obtaining the hunter level mark is not a strength level, but a hunting crystal core and corresponding points obtained by completing tasks. In the guild, resources can also be exchanged at once, which is quite good. He paid to register as an 8th level hunter member. The hunters around turned their gaze back. There are not many high-level hunters in Kaiyang City. This place is a remote and impoverished place, with no powerful high-level monsters. The plains outside are mostly filled with bandits who strike the autumn wind. If they do well, who would like to come here to pick up scrap? It is said that a stuffy stick king has emerged in the suburbs, specializing in robbing thieves. It is said to be a legend. I heard they also rob bandits' horses. Good purebred horses are on the Arrow-Tooth grassland, and we only have some lighter horses here. Hey buddy, do you want to team up? Hunters throw olive branches at Cheng Bai, and higher-level hunters are always welcomed by the team. Cheng Bai refused. He had his own business to attend to, and the top priority was to find better treasures as soon as possible, exchange them for stronger secrets, develop obscene skills, move towards the path of ultimate strength, become the son of the plain, stand out in the world, and be carefree is the way. Perhaps in the future, travelers can return to Earth with an ideal heart. Chapter 6. Amazing Sword. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Do you have any good treasures in Kaiyang City? Cheng Bai asked the guild governor. With the official hunter status, it was more convenient to gather information. The hunter guild has many treasure clues, and the guild governor knows everything about the various news within 1,000 miles of the surrounding area. The most valuable among them is: the highest level treasure publicly sold in Kaiyang City is the Water Ghost Scepter. The most famous treasure in Kaiyang Temple is the Frost Dragon Helmet, and there is a precious star gold in the collection of the Waibatsi Castle on the Wild Horse Ridge. Cheng Bai asked in confusion, star gold. The Hunter Guild provides relevant information. Stellar gold is an essential component of celestial bodies, and the mainland only contains a very small amount, also known as platinum. The hardness of the treasure is 6, and its hardness is 32 times that of diamond. It is a rare precious metal material, with a pure and white luster that remains unchanged. It is rumored to be used for casting weapons and can kill ghosts and gods. Upon receiving conclusive news, Cheng Bai was overjoyed. His wolf-tooth stick was just an ordinary iron weapon. If he could obtain a star gold forged weapon, it would undoubtedly have infinite power and doubled combat power. The guild governor gave another message. Master Fang Wanzhan, the leader of the Qi sect, is patrolling his subordinate industries in the city. If there are good materials for him to refine, there will be surprises. Cheng Bai felt secretly pleased and asked, are there any other treasures near Kaiyang City? There's nothing better. There are some low-level spiritual medicines in the nearby wilderness that can also be considered treasures, such as the beauty fruit and the whistle fruit, which are difficult to find. The guild governor truthfully told him. A pleasant voice came. The most precious treasure of Kaiyang City is a pair of moonlight blades. It is rumored to be the dual horns of the 5-colored moonlight deer king, inlaid with 2 crystal cores of the deer king and the black mist demon leopard king. It is a masterpiece personally crafted by Master Fang Wanzhan, the master of the Qi sect, with the power of thunder and lightning. Cheng Bai turned his head and saw a young woman wearing a grayish-green mask and a tight-fitting grayish-green outfit. Her concise lines outlined her graceful and charming figure, but unfortunately her appearance was not visible. The hunters in the guild burst into laughter. The moonlight blade was buried with the previous Kaiyang Palace master, and no one knows where it was hidden. You've been searching for a long time, but haven't even found it. Yun Wan, do you have a crush on that kid? You want to team up with him to search for treasures. Cheng Bai Duo looked at the other person twice and felt quite favorable in his heart. After hesitating for a moment, Yun Wan stood up from her seat and introduced herself. Yun Wan, a level 10 hunter. A hunter mocked and joked, the highest level hunter in Kaiyang City, the most beautiful city flower, is about to be picked by someone. Yun Wan gave the other person a fierce glare and sat down again. Cheng Bai walked forward and sat opposite her, chatting, I'm Cheng Bai. Do you want to find the moonlight blade? Yun Wan wrinkled her nose and said, you are the highest level hunter in Kaiyang City, besides me. I need manpower. When the moon climbs to the roof tonight, wait for me at the guild gate. After speaking, he walked out of the hunter guild and threw down another sentence. Go take a shower, it smells so bad. Cheng Bai lowered his head and sniffed at himself. He had never taken a shower except for a few days ago when he was caught in the rain. The taste was a bit heavy now, so he quickly walked out of the hunter guild. With money, it was time to dress up. By the time he came out of the clothing store, Cheng Bai had already been groomed and dressed in brand new grey moonlight deer fur clothes, boots, and pants. He was elegant, with an extraordinary aura that was different from his previous image. The clothing and armor store in the city is one of the stores under the name of the Qizong sect, and both ordinary clothing and magical armor can be customized. Moonlight deer fur clothing is just a simple cut with complete functions, making the wearer warm in winter and cool in summer. Under the moonlight, the body is as light as a swallow, making it a good treasure. The labor cost is not cheap, so customizing 2 sets for exchange will make you feel cramped. It's still early now. Cheng Bai quickly rode to the vicinity of the bandits' lair in Yema Ridge, tied his horse in the forest from a distance, climbed over the wall invisibly, and quietly entered the city fortress. The notorious reputation of Waibatsi City Fortress comes from the large number of bandits and their connections with the disaster army. The bandit subordinates are usually lax and idle, neglecting prevention. Cheng Bai didn't want to disturb a large number of people and cause a melee, wasting time. Instead, he went straight to the topic and bypassed the post, just as he encountered Cha He's pet dog house. With the secret technique of communication, wild beasts without spiritual intelligence are much easier to soothe than humans. Cheng Bai easily coaxed the dog into being cute and pleasing, and asked about the location of the treasure room where the star gold was stored, right behind the cabinet in Chehi's bedroom. It didn't take much effort to find it all the way. Chehi is hiding in the treasure room, feeling stuffy. He tilted his neck and wiped the antique vase with a fine cloth, feeling particularly resentful in his mouth. The disaster army doesn't look up to me, and even a mere yellow-mouthed child dares to ride on my head. It's not easy to die. Next time, be prepared to shoot you with poison arrows, humph. Alright, originally Cheng Bai just wanted to knock him unconscious, but now he made a desperate move. There was no life under the assassination stick, and the clanging and banging sounds echoed one after another. Cha He, whose brain was bursting, slid to the ground like a ball of mud, and the vase shattered without anyone paying attention. Cheng Bai estimated that his true strength would not be much stronger than the green water tiger in the Long Snake River. The words of the first swordsman in the skewed neck plain were either boastful, or there were too few strong people near Kaiyang City. Put away Cha He's decapitated broadsword and search around. Not only did he find a large ingot of star gold, but he also obtained 5,000 taels of gold. Before leaving, he did not forget to set fire to the bandit stronghold, which also harmed the people. Afterwards, Cheng Bai returned to Kaiyang City feeling relaxed. While there was still some time, he came to the Kaiyang branch altar of the Chi sect to express his intention. The sect leader was drunk today, and the elders were socializing. There were too many visitors. Chi Zong's guest boy led Cheng Bai into the inner hall to express his apologies. Cheng Bai didn't have time to wait slowly and asked, "I want to commission Master Wan Zhan from Fong to customize weapons. Can you take the order on his behalf?" The knowledgeable child nodded and said, "Of course, we can keep a detailed record and leave a deposit for the materials. Any excess will be refunded or any shortfall will be made. Once the sect leader wakes up, we can start work according to the order." Cheng Bai took out his wolf tooth stick, drew the blueprint according to the pattern, negotiated the style, and left the star gold and remuneration. Pick up the package in 7 days. Jika Tongzi explained clearly, and Cheng Bai bid farewell and left. Shortly after, the ordered drawings and materials were sent to the Zen house where the master was located. Fong Wanjian appeared to be middle-aged, but in fact, he was around 200 years old. He had phoenix eyes, a silkworm's eyebrow, a rhinoceros nose, and 5 strands of beard. He had a majestic appearance and was extraordinary in martial arts. He must have been exceptionally handsome when he was young. He has profound martial arts skills and is using his luck to relieve his drunkenness. His fingertips drip the liquor, and upon hearing about the customer's order, he opens his dazed and intoxicated eyes. He takes the star gold and weighs about 21 pounds, then reads the blueprint and laughs. Such a good and sufficient material, but it is used to make a rough mace, which is wasteful. There is only ground beetle in Kaiyang City. Jika Tongzi reported, "We have already received the order. Do you want to refund it? How much money does he leave behind?" Fong Wanzhan asked. After a moment's thought the knowledgeable boy said truthfully, 4,500 taels of gold. Feng Wanzhan nodded repeatedly and said, the remuneration is enough. Kaiyang Fenton has been losing money for many years, and several elders are powerless. We can't continue like this anymore. We need to have an account. We can't just refund, I'll take on this job. Do we need to modify the style of the blueprint? The knowledgeable boy was quite serious and asked about the details clearly. Feng Wanzhan casually crumpled the blueprint and threw it into the trash can, disdainfully saying, starting tomorrow, I have a great idea and will create a stunning sword. Customers will definitely be satisfied. Seeing that the drunken sect leader was unable to refute, Jika Tongzi had to ask, the changes are too great. How should we respond to the guests? Please show me, sect leader. Just inform truthfully. Cheng Bai came to the Hunter Guild to clear the task and exchanged the mountain copperhead slaying broadsword for a bounty. As scheduled, he saw Yunwan at the door. The other party didn't recognize him for a while, so the shiny Cheng Bai had to come forward and greet him. I can't tell you're dressed so refreshing and handsome, I'm a bit reluctant to let you go. Yunwan covered her mouth and chuckled. Cheng Bai was slightly surprised upon hearing this and asked, what are you looking for? Do you really have the moonlight blade? During this period, he had already inquired around and found out that the moonlight blade was a small anecdote in the market, with various opinions about its whereabouts. It was not an ordinary treasure that no one had seen in Kaiyang City, and the current Kaiyang Palace master was also very mysterious. He never talked about this matter. Yunwan swore confidently, I have found a clue and need someone's help. The moonlight blade belongs to me, and I will give you 1,000 taels of gold once everything is done. I will never break my promise. Cheng Bai curiously said, are you determined to obtain the treasure? What is the use of it? Yunwan glanced at the wolf tooth stick that Cheng Bai was carrying and casually said, I need this treasure to enhance my strength and ensure a victory rate in martial arts. You're not using a knife, it's useless to you, so there's no need to delve deeper. The reward was generous, and Cheng Bai agreed to cooperate. He followed her all the way, not daring to neglect, afraid of losing. Yunwan's lightness skills are very good. She climbed over the wall, jumped over the window, and led Cheng Bai over a pair of beds busy with the concave-convex merging project, causing a series of screams. Yunwan ignored it and followed a route that Cheng Bai couldn't understand, crossing hundreds of rooms and running through more than 10 streets. Behind her, chickens and dogs were flying, rotten eggs, rotten vegetable leaves, and old slippers were flying around, but they couldn't stop their sharp footsteps. When Cheng Bai began to doubt whether she was testing her patience, Yunwan finally climbed over the wall and entered the largest building in Kaiyang City. The Kaiyang Temple. Chapter 7. Cemetery Test. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Cheng Bai jumped into the palace, unfamiliar with people and places everywhere, and followed her through various halls, looking around all the way until she entered the basement, and then down there was a tomb passage, which was cold and dry inside. Cheng Bai questioned, is there a cemetery below? Yunwan whispered, the tombs of the successive masters of the Kaiyang Temple are all below. Is there a mechanism? Yunwan nodded and said, there must be some. What about monsters? Yunwan nodded her head like a chicken pecking at rice and said, there's also one. What did you ask me to do? Yunwan hurriedly said, find the treasure. Cheng Bai reached out and pointed, what about the one above? The entrance of the tomb passage is a circular hall, with a spacious entrance and a human head inlaid above the door. No, to be precise, it is a bronze head wearing a helmet, with exquisite and lifelike features. Yunwan was taken aback and said, that's not our goal. Cheng Baichi said, isn't the helmet it's wearing a treasure? Before Yunwan could answer, Cheng Bai jumped up and climbed up the door, reaching out to take off his helmet. The bronze man's head was left with only a bald forehead. The helmet material has a mysterious luster, the style and lines are concise, and the craftsmanship is exquisite, making it cool and comfortable to purchase. Cheng Bai glanced at it and quickly stuffed it into his treasure bag, saying, "We have gained something, let's continue." Yun Wan was stunned for a moment before saying, "Go in, listen to me, don't move anything, there may be a mechanism." Cheng Bai responded, "Okay, you can lead the way." The two of them entered the quiet and gloomy tomb passage, where the air was dull and ancient, and the interior was clean and spacious. A small number of perpetual lights maintained a low visual demand, and a tall figure stood every section of the way. "This is the monster guarding the cemetery, a finely crafted mechanism puppet." Yun Wan warned, "As long as there is no fighting or noise, we won't disturb those yellow jade puppets." "Okay," Cheng Bai nodded and agreed, still looking around. The tomb passage extends in all directions and is complex like a maze, with several layers of interlocking structures. Each tomb chamber is different, and the coffins inside are large and exquisite. Cheng Bai followed Yun Wan and stood in front of a spacious tomb. Step by step, the heavy coffin is placed in the center, and various types of knives and weapons are hung on the surrounding walls. The Park knife, Yenling knife, Yuan Yang knife, Ghost Head knife, Nine Ring knife, Yenyu knife, and others are all complete. Cheng Bai sighed and said, "It seems that the tomb owner really likes the blade." Yun Wan praised and said, "The previous Kaiyang Palace master was a martial arts enthusiast." Cheng Bai suddenly asked, "How does it compare to the master of the Yaoguang Temple?" The masters of the 7 great temples in the Chi-Chi continent are all rare martial arts geniuses, but due to different generations, there is a large gap in cultivation. The former Kaiyang Temple Master and Yaoguang Temple Master are of the same generation, with similar strength. Yun Wan replied after careful consideration. Cheng Bai asked, "Are there 3 masters of the Yaoguang Palace?" The main hall of the 7 great temples has only one, but there are also 2 deputy main halls in the Yaoguang Temple. Cheng Bai sighed and said, "Unfortunately, they all died in battle." Yun Wan was taken aback for a moment and did not answer. "Where is the edge of the moonlight blade?" Cheng Bai said with a sharp turn. "Hidden inside the coffin, opening the lid requires waiting for the right moment. Tonight's moonlight is the key to unlocking, it's about to start." Yun Wan counted the time. The full moon in the sky rose to a certain height, and the bright and crystal-clear moonlight refracted heavily through exquisite design, shining into the deep underground tomb of Kaiyang Temple, like water sprinkling on the coffin in the center of the tomb chamber. Cheng Bai looked in surprise at the miracle happening in the coffin before him. Under the moonlight, the lid of the coffin slowly opened, and a plump middle-aged woman stood up from the coffin. She was taller and more muscular than Yun Wan, holding a unique weapon that resembled a large rotating wheel made up of 4 blades, exquisite and gorgeous. Cheng Bai quickly asked, "Is that the moonlight blade in her hand?" Yun Wan explained, "That's the projection of the former Kaiyang Temple Master. The real moonlight blade is in the coffin. When I fight with the projection, go take the moonlight blade and leave the tomb to wait for me." Just made it clear that the former Kaiyang Palace Master strode forward and threw a rotating blade, flying in mid-air as if under human control, rolling and chopping, with agile attacks. Yun Wan pulled out her short sword and approached her teammates, urging them to go and get the weapon. Cheng Bai dodged left and dodged right, bypassing the attack range projected by the former Kaiyang Temple Master. He flipped over and jumped into the huge coffin, where he saw the mummified corpse lying peacefully, tightly gripping the rotating blade that was as round as a wheel. "I tried the weight and found that this rare weapon is quite heavy, weighing over 100 pounds, and most people cannot handle it." Cheng Bai calmly and cleanly broke open the fingers of the former Kaiyang Palace Master's body until he took out the moonlight blade. Outside the coffin, Yun Wan waved a short sword and fought back, urging, "Cheng Bai, take it out quickly." The former head of the Kaiyang Hall suddenly grabbed the rotating blade and split it into 2 symmetrical double-headed sharp blades, with the handle in the middle. The moonlight blade is actually a pair of weapons, which is quite unique. Although it is a projection, it is also quite powerful. It can be divided and combined, spinning and dancing in circles, and making bows from left to right. The moves are exquisite and the power is doubled, steadily occupying the upper hand. Yun Wan was suppressed, and in the battle, there were dangers and dangers. The sword was fierce, cutting her clothes and causing her to feel embarrassed. However, she remained undefeated and repeatedly avoided attacks, unscathed. Resisting a few moves, Yun Wan called out a few more times, and Cheng Bai inside the coffin showed no response. She was anxious in her heart and finally used her true skills. Her short sword flew in the air, somewhat similar to the rotating blade. The back and forth attacks were as fast as a whirlwind, forcing back 2 moonlight blade projections, but she still couldn't win. The moonlight in the tomb chamber faded, and the projection of the former Kaiyang Hall master gradually dissipated. The coffin lid slowly closed, and the miraculous time was coming to an end. Yun Wan took the opportunity to run to the coffin and quickly glanced inside. Except for the body of the former Kaiyang Hall master, there was no figure inside the coffin. The moonlight blade had already disappeared, leaving only the stunned Yun Wan in the tomb chamber. Cheng Bai ran out of the tomb passage with a moonlight blade, thinking to himself, Yun Wan is particularly familiar with palaces and tomb chambers. It's not as simple as tomb raids by outsiders. Even if you're not from the Kaiyang temple, it's a big deal. I'm afraid there might be a scam in this matter, so don't fall into the pit. Anyway, I've worked hard to come here, just keep the loot. Don't be greedy for anything else. He didn't have the path he had when he walked, so he roughly estimated the direction. The layout of the Kaiyang temple building is quite similar to that of the Yaoguang temple, with the path escaping through the palace's side door. Looking at the honest and straightforward kid, I didn't expect him to be so cunning, pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger. Yun Wan was burning with anger, her intestines turning blue with regret. She quickly rushed out of the tomb and shouted loudly, "Seal off the temple, prohibit everyone from entering and exiting. The moonlight blade and frost dragon helmet have been stolen." The loud noise made the Huanyu puppet step forward towards the direction of Yun Wan, but it was not an attack, but rather blocking the tomb passage and bowing down to stand by. In the darkness, there was a rustling sound. Several women in black appeared from a secret place and rushed to pay their respects to Yun Wan, saying, "I will obey the orders of the master of the palace." Originally, Yun Wan was the current owner of the mysterious Kaiyang temple, deceiving Bai into taking the moonlight blade. Only because the temple has always been a testament to tradition, the remains and burial objects of past temple masters cannot be tampered with recklessly. They need to pass the moonlight blade technique test of the previous temple master before being able to remove the moonlight blade. Yun Wan's strength is not yet stable enough to surpass the former palace master's projection, and she wants to obtain the treasure as soon as possible, so she needs to find an outsider to take care of it. At the same time, she is prepared to prevent turning white and turning back. However, she did not expect the invisibility secret technique to come and go freely, and arranging several black-clad women is useless, resulting in the loss of 2 precious treasures in vain. Cheng Bai rode a horse and left Kaiyang City overnight. There are very few experts in Kaiyang City, and Yun Wan is mostly the head of Kaiyang Hall. The head of Yaoguang Hall instructed me to explain clearly that the 3 masters' grievances have been resolved. Cheng Bai guessed half right and looked at the black smoke rising from the Wild Horse Ridge in the distance. It was the great fire of the Waibatsi city fortress, which had not completely extinguished until now. The bandits' lair must no longer exist. Feeling relieved and happy, he urged the horse to gallop towards the Yaoguang temple, hunting and practicing freely all the way. The Crooked Neck Legion fortress has been burned down, personnel have collapsed, and bandits are scarce. Kaiyang City may usher in new development opportunities. A few days later, Cheng Bai returned to the Yaoguang temple. Unconsciously, the palace became much more gloomy, and the undead spirits lurking around the altar gradually turned the once luxurious temple into a ghost cave. Cheng Bai took advantage of the lack of reaction from the deceased during the day and entered the open-air hall. He took out the moonlight blade from the treasure bag and placed it on the altar. The light was brighter than before, the moonlight blade disappeared without a trace, and 3 light clusters floated before Cheng Bai, displaying a rich and colorful new rune. Chapter 8. Clearance Knife. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. After several attempts, it can be determined that the stronger the treasure, the more powerful the secret technique it receives. As he was about to acquire a new skill, it was worth it. Cheng Bai was excited inside and carefully examined the effect of the secret technique. Thunder fire, which condenses sound waves and flame energy to shoot at targets, causes damage from thunder and flames, and may stun creatures. Floating light, where the sun and moon shine, greatly enhances reaction and speed. Night fear causes intimidation at night, affecting organisms to develop fear of running away or experiencing movement disorders. Cheng Bai chose the first one without hesitation, integrated into the rune, and mastered the thunder fire technique. The speed of the floating light has increased, and the fear effect of night fear is not currently necessary. We urgently need a powerful secret attack method. The dual attribute long-range killing power is really great, and the flame has a wide range of effects. Watching the other 2 beams of light dissipate, Cheng Bai exclaimed with joy, this kind of sacrifice, equivalent exchange, and continuous acquisition of power is really easy. I don't know how far we can go in the future. Is it really equivalent exchange? Cheng Bai had doubts before, but currently the road was unobstructed and he had no reason to refuse. He turned around and left the Yaoguang temple, continuing eastward, full of longing for the secret technique to be exchanged for new treasures in the future. Crossing the long Snake River again, only the bones of the previous horses were found on the shore. Several times back and forth, it was troublesome for the old turtle to transport the goods across the river. The reward was only a few skewers of meat, and Cheng Bai became an old customer. This time, he did not bring a horse and was eaten by the monsters in the long Snake River when he was released on the shore. Cheng Bai carefully examined the surrounding traces and concluded, the 3-headed snake was dry. The most powerful monster nearby is the snake monster. Last time it passed by, Cheng Bai didn't want to provoke it. Now, unlike in the past, he decided to challenge it. Wearing the frost dragon helmet, this piece of equipment has been studied by Cheng Bai. The treasure made from the frost demon dragon head and bones may not be as good as the moonlight blade, but it can add ice armor to the wearer, prevent fire and cold, enhance defense, and also provide night vision. It's good to keep protective. There is a 3-headed snake lying down on the shore for a nap, with its large body nowhere to hide. Cheng Bai swung his wolf-toothed stick and stealthily touched it, hitting the side of the head with a heavy thud. Compared to the past, Cheng Bai's assassination power has become much stronger, successfully knocking out a head. The other 2 heads of the 3-headed snake became furious when they saw the appearance of the surprise attack, and their mouths spewed out strong acid and poisonous mist, respectively. Cheng Bai quickly closed his breath and rolled around, hiding to fight against this strong monster, which was inevitably dangerous in close combat, and assassination attacks were also difficult to kill. Upon closer inspection of my iron rod, the wolf-toothed spikes have been worn down significantly, and the rod has also become slightly deformed. I'm afraid it won't last long. Fortunately, a better substitute was customized. Cheng Bai secretly felt relieved. After retreating, he aimed at the remaining 2 heads of the 3-headed snake and fired a series of lightning bombs. When the thunder fire secret technique is used, there is no sound, but when it hits the target, it emits a deafening thunderous roar, causing it to roll its eyes and feel dizzy. Coupled with the high heat, it scorches its 2 heads, swaying and drooping, unable to move. Great, it's a precise version of an explosive grenade with immense destructive power. The secret techniques are all powerful moves that can kill people like cutting vegetables. But the thunderous sound woke up the previously unconscious head of the stuffy pig. The 3-headed snake was not foolish. Noticing its opponent's strength, it quickly spread its 4 thick legs and rushed into the river, wanting to escape. How could Cheng Bai let go of the prey? His hands fired thunderbolts one after another, hitting the head and neck. After the thunderous sound, the three-headed snake, whose neck had been shattered by the explosion, lay down limply. The prey in hand has rough skin and hard flesh, and it takes a lot of effort to open the stomach and extract the freshest and tender meat, as well as larger green crystal cores, which are much fuller than previous small chips. Unfortunately, all the kitchen knives and forks collected in the Yaoguang temple have curled up and had to retire early. Today's feast was very enjoyable, with delicious barbecue cooking. With the thunder fire technique, it is much easier and more convenient to start a fire and cook in the wild. Cheng Bai is grateful for choosing the right one. After the essence meat of the three-headed snake was processed, it was more delicious than those monster beasts before. It was crispy, refreshing and delicious. Cheng Bai almost swallowed his tongue. Eating it with exercise was more valuable, and his strength was significantly improved. In the quiet of the night, after practicing the 3 stuffy sticks, my killing intent gradually relaxed and my martial arts took another big step forward. Cheng Bai found the big tree he had slept on last time, looked up at the night sky again, admired the twinkling stars, crossed his legs, and felt contented. Before going to bed, I relaxed my whole body and glanced at the starry sky, saying, "It seems like there are a few fewer stars tonight. What does that matter? Using the sky as the cover and the earth as the bed, food that is more delicious than the earth is so carefree." Cheng Bai fell asleep quickly, had a good night's sleep, and didn't even dream. When he arrived at Kaiyang City 2 days later, the essence food of the demon beast combined with superior martial arts cultivation greatly improved his strength and physical ability, and his action was faster than running a horse. Cheng Bai missed the beauty of his mount and longed for the bandits to reappear, bringing in well-tamed horses. Unfortunately, he did not encounter them and could only rely on his 2 legs to run faster. Arriving at the Qizong altar in Kaiyang City, Jika Tongzi received him. The master has completed the order for Qinggongzi and rushed to Yuheng City yesterday. He also needs to go to various places such as Tianquan City to inspect related industries and have the villain hand over the treasure. Upon hearing this, Cheng Bai was secretly pleased. The name of the head of the Qi sect was well known and well received, but unfortunately, he did not see it at all. The knowledgeable boy respectfully took out the meticulously crafted weapon box, which weighed heavily. Judging from the exquisite packaging, he knew it was a high-end item. When I opened the weapon box, Cheng Bai was stunned. This is clearly a ghost-headed knife, with a straight body, 3 feet and 7 inches long, cutting through 3 soles and 7 soles, 6 inches and 7/10 wide, cutting off 6 desires and 7 emotions. The blade is as bright as the bright moon, smooth and flawless, capturing people with cold light. The handle is cast with a ghost head and white-faced fangs. At first glance, it looks like a good weapon, but, did you take it wrong? Cheng Bai asked suspiciously. Jika Tongzi hurriedly said, I didn't take it wrong. You see, it's undoubtedly star gold. It's made from a whole piece of material, and there's no waste of a single penny. Only our sect leader has this kind of craftsmanship in the impoverished continent. But what I want is a wolf's tooth stick. Cheng Bai felt inexplicable and said it was not going the right way. Did the sect leader get drunk and muddy at that time? Jika Tongzi smiled and said to himself, that blueprint was torn by the sect leader. He said that making such a crude wolf tooth stick from high-quality materials is a waste of money, so he changed it to this knife. The young master will definitely be satisfied with using it. To be honest, this is the best work of the sect leader in recent years. After all, good materials are rare. Cheng Bai silently picked up the ghost head knife and tried to feel it. It was heavy and powerful, truly good, an absolute beheading weapon. Alright, our great slug king was forced to change to the swordsman king. Seeing the guest accept it, the Jika boy felt relieved and did not forget to compliment him, saying, such a good knife is worth the master giving it an unparalleled name. Cheng Bai casually said, it's called a pig-killing knife. The knowledgeable boy shook his hands repeatedly and said, don't joke like this. A good horse with a good saddle, and a good sword with a good master. How dare you randomly choose a name? That would be a self-deprecation, and one must never use it. Cheng Bai heard that it was reasonable, and the local culture showed a more ancient style. He recalled the famous saying of the ancients and pondered for a moment, saying, "The flowing light horse passes through a gap, and it changes with a flick of its finger. Let's call it the gap knife. The knowledgeable boy applauded and praised, "Good sentence, good name." Cheng Bai waved a few swords and smiled, using a sharp-edged weapon. Suddenly, he faced the 3 stuffy sticks. No, it should be said that the 3 stuffy knives had a new understanding. Originally, the deadly 3-kill sword used a sharp sword, which was gradually trained into a blunt weapon. It was more ruthless and composed, but lacked agility in sharpness. The 3 moves of martial arts were supposed to be more powerful than each other, but the most commonly used move of the 3 stuffy sticks was the stuffy pig head. The last 2 moves failed to surpass it, and it was because it could not unleash its sharpness and could not go further. Nowadays, obtaining a precious sword and transforming into a more practical one may not necessarily be a great thing. Cheng Bai let nature take its course, quickly comprehending the tricks and reasoning, and improving his martial arts mentality. He accepted the overpass blade and discarded the wolf tooth stick, which had become increasingly useless and deformed. Upon seeing this, Jika Tongzi quickly picked up the wolf tooth stick and smiled, saying, "Although it has wear and tear, recasting is another weapon. All kinds of gold and iron in the impoverished continent are precious resources. If the guest doesn't want it, then give it to me." Cheng Bai saw him interesting and asked, "What's your name?" Jika Tongzi said, "Little man Qi Zhongming. You will never be a thing in the pool in the future." Cheng Bai laughed heartily, feeling as if he was gradually integrating into local life. He then asked, "How does the Gua Gap blade compare to the moonlight blade that Master Fong refined in his early years?" Qi Zhongming said solemnly, "In addition to its good material, the moonlight blade also uses 2 rare demon beast king crystal cores. It also reaches the level of a magic weapon, and its power is much higher than that of a clearance blade." Cheng Bai asked in confusion, "The difference lies in the crystal nucleus." "Exactly. The star gold material is even better than the colorful moonlight deer king's horn, but without crystal core enhancement, it relies on the user's own power to exert. The advanced monster crystal core enhances its power significantly, let alone inlaid too. Among the 7 magic treasures refined by the successive masters of the Qi sect, the moonlight blade ranks 7th, and is not an ordinary thing. Qi Zhongming's martial arts level is low and he knows a lot, which is extraordinary and comparable to rumors in the community. Chapter 9. Free and Easy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Cheng Bai thought that his identity as a knowledgeable child had wronged the intelligent young man who was 3 years younger than him. He asked, "What better treasures are there nearby?" Qi Zhongming said, "There is no treasure in Kaiyang City that is comparable to the moonlight blade. The best treasure in the Fenton store is the water ghost wand refined by the elder, which can be used as a precious tool and is far inferior to the gap blade." Unfortunately, after the moonlight blade disappeared, Cheng Bai needed more clues and asked, looking around the world, "Is there a weapon list or treasure ranking?" There are rankings within the Qizong, which vary from time to time. Except for a small number of ancient relics that are difficult to find, most of the treasures in the Qi continent are from the Qizong's hands. The one better than the moonlight blade is the Guanshi Tianyan of the Jadeheng Palace Master, ranked 6th among the 7 treasures. The Canglang axe of the Tianquan Palace Master, ranked 5th among the 7 treasures. Qi Zhongming is eloquent and tells everything he knows. The sky eye for observing the world is crafted with 3 sky demon eagle crystal cores embedded in the flying shadow stone. It can detect invisible objects and observe thousands of miles from afar, revealing the flaws of martial arts skills. It is a rare treasure with 3 uses. The Canglang axe is made of star gold, embedded with the crystal core of a tidal giant. It is a first-class water magic weapon with unparalleled divine power, capable of cutting through wind and waves. These treasures are very well known to people, and upon hearing them, Bai Yinxing admired them and asked, "Where is Yuheng City heading?" Qi Zhongming pointed out the road and said, "More than 2,000 miles southeast of the city is Yuheng City. You need to pass through the Ghost Face Basin, pass through the strange stone mountain, and pass through the one-eyed jungle." Cheng Bai was about to ask about the whereabouts of other treasures when he suddenly heard a commotion outside. Someone from the Hunter Guild saw Cheng Bai enter the altar of the Qi sect. "Have you ever seen him?" Upon hearing the pleasant and melodious female voice, Cheng Bai knew something was amiss. He quickly bid farewell, took a quick jog, and slipped away through the back door. It was Yun Wan who rushed in with a fierce momentum. Qi Zhongming quickly welcomed him and said, "Lord Kaiyang, what's up?" Yun Wan did not wear a mask today, and the people of the Qi sect only know that her other identity is the owner of the Kaiyang temple. She has long hair draped over her shoulders, elegant and slender willow eyebrows, deep and watery eyes, a delicate and graceful Yao nose, soft and rosy red lips, and an exquisite melon seed face that is pure and elegant, full of ethereal and soft beauty. Not only is her status noble, but she is also the #1 beauty in Kaiyang City. "I found Cheng Bai, where is he?" Yun Wan suppressed her anger and asked in a deep voice. "Cheng Bai." Qi Zhongming remembered that the guest who had just hurriedly left registered his name as Cheng Bai. Upon observing his words and expressions, it seemed that the Lord of Kaiyang Temple wanted to trouble him. "Oh. I remember." Qi Zhongming made a sudden realization and spoke out before Yun Wan's anger was about to erupt. "Speak up quickly. That person went to Yuheng City." Yun Wan's eyes rolled around with suspicion, and she said, "What did he come to the altar of the Qi sect for?" Qi Zhongming pondered his words and said, "He bought a new weapon and has already left." Yun Wan gritted her teeth and turned to leave. As Yun Wan walked out of the altar of the Qi sect, she became increasingly wrong and thought to herself, "He has taken the moonlight blade. There is no better weapon in Kaiyang City than it. Why should he buy a weapon?" Cheng Bai strode towards the southeast direction and said helplessly, "In the future, we should try to avoid that woman as much as possible. We really can't do anything bad." Entering the Ghost Face Basin, common monsters include not only blue-faced spiders, but also more powerful purple-faced spiders. In addition, most of them are bearish-headed humans, forming primitive clan tribes. On the journey to Cheng Bai, taste all the delicious food. In addition to delicious meat, there are also many rare delicacies in the impoverished continent. In order to gather and taste, he didn't rush to the Ghost Face Basin and stayed for an extra day. In front of me was a large cluster of brightly colored plants, which looked like ordinary red flowers and green leaves from a distance, but only recently did I realize that the flowers were unusual. They are two pieces of red bracts curled together, with a gap in the middle, like the flame-red lips of a beautiful woman kissing, but with a faint smell of stinky tofu. This cannot be eaten yet, Cheng Bai is patiently waiting. After a while, several flesh-pink insects, similar to bees and flies but several times larger, flew over and rushed into the plant community, each diving into the fiery red lips. In an instant, those few fiery red lips trembled violently, rapidly transforming. The red bracts on the surface curled up and peeled off layer by layer, while pink strawberry-shaped meatballs emerged from the inside, as big as fists, emitting a faint fragrance. The meatball fruit was clearly transformed into a flesh-pink insect, and when it turned white, I was overjoyed. I picked a strawberry-shaped meatball and put it in my mouth, crunching and swallowing it in a few bites. The meatball is pink in color, tender like baby skin, sweet like strawberries, and fragrant like pineapple, with an excellent flavor. This is the beauty fruit. Eating it can make people's skin tender and their complexion rejuvenated. One of the few delicacies that Cheng Bai learned from the bottom person, he quickly put the remaining fruits into his bag after finishing and ran to the next stop. There is a lush forest there, and the surface of the trunk is covered with green long hair like cotton thread. Eating it has the effect of nourishing blood and stopping bleeding, and can also replace cotton to make fabrics. This tree is called Jing cotton. There are no leaves on the branches, but many red-brown spherical fruits hang on them. Cheng Bai picked one of them, and the slender tentacles used to hang the branches trembled as they retracted into their shells. Turns out they're not fruits, but pupae of insects that can hatch wasps. Adults will fly towards the young girl's fruit to become the nourishment for growing fruit. Before leaving, they lay eggs on the branches of the fine cotton, hatch larvae, eat enough green hair, and hang on high places to become pupae again, repeating the process. Cheng Bai then collected green hair on the trunk of the Jingmian tree, kneaded it into a large ball, and brought the pupa to the nearby pond. He lit the green hair with a very small amount of lightning fire and burned the pupa on the flame. The pupa absorbs heat and continuously swells, from slightly smaller than a fist to larger than a football, and its color becomes increasingly red. When the green hair burns out and the heat is absorbed to a certain extent, it begins to feel hot and quickly throws it into a small pond. The pupa sank into the water and later exploded like a mine, causing a semi-transparent round table-shaped creature to float on the pond, resembling a jellyfish that had been knocked unconscious by the explosion. Cheng Bai dragged the floating creatures ashore. It is called meat and is a carnivorous creature that is not usually aggressive. Once an animal accidentally enters its body, it will wrap around the other person and slowly digest it. The explosion of the bee's pupa paralyzes the nearby flesh and resurfaces, making it effortless to capture it. The meat that has been separated from water continuously shrinks in a dry state, quickly shrinking into concentrated protein. It shrinks from the size of the table to the size of the disc, from soft to hard with a thick layer, and the color presents a light blue, like a strange thick pancake. Cheng Bai didn't eat it, but took it and came to an orange-yellow grassland, which was the vegetable field of the bottom people. Place the blue-green meat on top, and soon many fat yellow worms will emerge from the orange grass. They will crawl onto the meat, lower their heads to nibble on it, dig a hole for themselves, and then stop moving their heads and buttocks. Worms are everywhere, looking like a disc filled with round and plump yellow fries. Cheng Bai proudly reached out to pick up the big pancake of pork belly, picked up the fat worm with 2 fingers, and put it into his mouth, as if it were the most delicious dish in the world. He ate it deliciously one by one, and thick egg yolk juice dripped down the corner of his mouth. These obese worms, named Tu Hui, have a rich and sweet taste, resembling red grapes and silky like ice cream. They are very lazy and tend to sleep after eating something. At this time, they are left to be slaughtered without moving at all. Eating soil cobra can relieve fatigue and boost energy. After finishing his meal, Cheng Bai let out a burp and felt an inexhaustible amount of strength all over his body. He praised, "Life is like this, why should I ask for it? Take out the wine pot from the bai bao bag and pour it over. Drink the last sip of rice wine collected by the Yaoguang temple and dance with a knife leisurely." At this point, the 3 dull swords that turned white went further, not only being ruthless and powerful, but also increasing in sharpness. The 3 moves were coherent and smooth, with a faint tendency to merge into one move, doubling in power. After practicing, Cheng Bai was very satisfied and said, "It seems that swords are more effective than fangs. I used to feel that the 3 moves couldn't be used freely, but now it's the true deadly 3 kills." At night, everything was quiet, and Cheng Bai found a dense canopy, lying horizontally on it, gazing up at the starry sky, relaxed and at ease, about to fall asleep. He suddenly opened his eyes, sat up and looked closely, wondering, why does it seem like there are fewer stars? Is it covered by clouds and mist? It seemed that he couldn't see any clues, and gradually fell asleep. Early in the morning, we entered the strange stone mountain. The mountain range here is rugged and steep, with occasional stone figures appearing. Even the strong ones are unwilling to approach. Merchants and adventurous hunters often take the safest shortcut, called the Shirzhu corridor. The so-called corridor is actually a hidden karst cave in the hinterland of the mountain, with a natural and colorful interior. The stalactites on the walls and top adorn it like a dreamy dungeon in a fairy tale. The passage is more than 20 miles long, and it is much safer to smoothly pass through and reach the one-eyed jungle at the other end. There is a rule of 3 walks and 3 don'ts on the corridor. 3 walks means taking a brisk and sunny walk, with fresh air and peace of mind. The road is smooth, so hurry up and walk. 3 don'ts means not daring to walk in the dark and windy night. The air is foul-smelling, so don't walk. Don't block the way with a stone figure. The roads in the Shirzhu corridor are relatively open, and with more people passing by, traces can be seen. Many people would not go wrong without a tour guide. If there is a tour guide, you must explain the rules clearly before you dare to take people on the way. Unfortunately, Cheng Bai was rarely seen or heard of, and didn't know any rules. He burst into the stone canal corridor of the strange stone mountain. Shortly after entering, he encountered a mud and stone man blocking the way. Chapter 10. Treasure Guard. You are listening at novelfull.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text.